The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of?
demon dolls terrify me.
They terrify me too.
You know, it's that thing where people anthropomorphize them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's because things like that with eyes remind people of dead bodies.
Annabelle.
That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Yeah. Annabelle and a lot of other demon dolls. I was just in Clinton, New Jersey.
Yeah, you were over there over the weekend, right?
Over the weekend. I took Allison. She finished her first term at UNC. Congratulations.
Congrats on that. And from what I hear, it's very difficult.
Very difficult. Yeah. She was quite a soldier. She pulled it off.
That's great.
But I took her to a bed and breakfast, because it's winter. You can't do much in the winter, called the Riverside Victorian in Clinton, New Jersey. Nice. And I met the nicest people, gathered some ghost stories. We're going to talk about them on a future episode. Mm-hmm. But they wanted us to go to that model train place in Flemington.
Oh, that, yeah. I think I've been there.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, years ago.
But they also have a doll collection there. Oh. And, of course, Allison heard about the doll collection and freaked out.
Oh, she freaked out?
No, it terrified her.
In a bad way?
In a bad way, yeah. She could not do it.
Okay.
So I was looking on the news and I found this demon doll things, which we'll discuss on episode 41. Yep. Demon dolls.
Demon dolls.
Yeah, this is T. Fox Dunham.
This is Phil Thomas.
This is What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show on Para X Radio at Friday nights at 9 p.m. And you can find us at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com. And please send us your ghost stories.
Yes, we need them. We will showcase them.
We will narrate them and put pretty music behind them.
Yeah. What more could you ask for?
Right. Opening the show, we want to say hi to Bill in a very special way.
Yeah, it's our own little unique way of saying hello.
Yeah. He needs a little help on the road at 3 a.m. driving us up to...
Wow.
So this is Hi Bill. Bill
is on his way to work at SEPTA in Philly. He's glad it's nearly summertime, so he won't be so chilly. Bill.
That's our friend Bill.
Hey, Bill.
We love Bill. That was fun.
That was. Hopefully he enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm worried he had to pull over on the side of the road and he's, urinating himself right now. Which is kind of, as long as he's safe, then I'll laugh about it.
Yeah, as long as he didn't, swerve or, veer off the road laughing.
David Walton is back with another Devon ghost story from his home area in the south of England. This one is called The Demon of Spreyton, which is very classic British, sort of classic 1700s ghost story where some dark, mischievous spirit was called a demon.
Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
I like very old classic ghost stories.
And he does a wonderful job with it.
I love those. Yeah, they're my favorite.
So this is David Walton, The Demon of Spreyton, our ghost story for this episode. Then we'll be back to talk about dolls at What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para X.
In the following story, the towns of Totnes and Crediton and the village of Spreyton are located in Devon, southwest England. The Demon of Spreyton. The following story first appeared in a pamphlet entitled A Narrative of the Demon of Spreyton, dated 1683, and read by David Walton. About the month of November last, in the parish of Spreyton, one Francis Fay, servant to Mr. Philip Furze, being in a field near the dwelling house of the said master, there appeared unto him the resemblance of an old gentleman, like his master's father, with a pole or staff in his hand, like that he was wont to carry when living, to kill moles withal. The spectrum approached near the young man, who was not a little surprised at the appearance of one whom he knew to be dead. But the spectrum bade him have no fear, but tell his master that several legacies, which by his testament he had bequeathed, were still unpaid, naming 10 shillings to one, 10 shillings to another, both which he named. The young man replied that the party last named was dead, and so it could not be paid to him. The ghost answered, he knew that, but it must be paid to the next relative, whom he also named. The spectrum likewise ordered him to carry 20 shillings to a gentlewoman, sister of the deceased, living at Totnes, and promised, if these things were done, to trouble him no more. At the same time, the spectrum, speaking of his second wife, also dead, called her a wicked woman, though the relator knew her and esteemed her a good woman. The spectre vanished. The young man did as enjoined, and saw that the legacies were duly paid, and he took 20 shillings to the gentlewoman near Totnes, but she utterly refused to receive it, believing it to have been sent by the devil. That same night, the young man who was lodging in the house of his former master's sister saw the ghost again. The youth thereupon remonstrated with it, and reminded it of the promise made no more to annoy him, and he explained that the deceased man's sister refused to accept the money. Then the spirit bade the young man take horse, ride into Totnes, and buy a ring of the value of 20 shillings, and assured him that the lady would receive that. Next day, after having bought the ring, that was accepted, the young man was riding home to his master's, accompanied by a servant of the gentlewoman near Totnes, and as they entered the parish of Spreyton, the ghost was seen sitting on the horse behind the youth. It clasped its long arms about his waist and flung him from his saddle to the ground. This was witnessed by several persons in the road, as well as by the serving man from Totnes. On entering the yard of Mr. Philip Furze's farm, the horse made a bound of some 25 feet, to the amazement of all. Soon after this, a female ghost appeared in the house, and was seen by the young man, as also by Mrs. Thomasine Gidley, Anne Langdon, and a little child. This ghost was able to assume various shapes. Sometimes she appeared as a dog, belching fire. At another, she went out of the window in the shape of a horse, breaking one pane of glass and a piece of iron. But usually she stalked along the passage and appeared in the rooms in her own form. No doubt could exist as to who this troublesome ghost was. The spectrum of the old gentleman had already hinted that his second wife was a bad woman and could make herself unpleasant. On one occasion, invisible hands laid hold of the young man and rammed his head into a narrow space between his bedstead and the wall, and it took several persons to extricate him, and then, what with fright and what with this pressure, he was so unwell that a surgeon was sent for to bleed him. No sooner was this operation performed than the ligatures about the arm were suddenly snatched at and torn off, and slung about his waist, and there drawn so tight that he was nearly suffocated. They had to be cut through with a knife to relieve him. At other times his cravat was drawn tight, The spectre was of a playful humour and would pluck the perukes off the head of people, and one that was on the top of the cabinet in a box, with a joint stool on it, was drawn out and ripped to shreds. And this was the most costly wig in the house. At another time the youth's shoestring was observed without assistance of hands to come out of his shoes of its own accord and cast itself to the other side of the room, whereupon the other shoelace started crawling after its companion. A maid espying this, with her hand drew it back, when it clasped and curled around her hand like an eel or serpent. The young man's clothes were taken off and torn to shreds, as were those of another servant in the house, and this while they were on their backs. A barrel of salt was seen to march out of one room and into another, untouched by human hands. When the spectre appeared in her own likeness, she was habited in the ordinary garments of women at that time, especially like those of Mrs. Philip Furze, her daughter-in-law. On Easter Eve, the young man was returning from the town when he was caught by the female spectre by his coat and carried up into the air, head, legs and arms dangling down. Having been missed by his master and fellow servants, search was made for him, but it was not till half an hour later that he was found at some distance from the house, plunged to his middle in a bog, and in a condition of ecstasy or trance, whistling and singing. He was with difficulty extracted and taken to the house and put to bed. All the lower part of his body was numbed with cold from long immersion in the morass. One of his shoes was found near the doorstep of the house, another at the back of the house, and his peruke was hanging in the top branches of a tree. On his recovery, he protested that the spirit had carried him aloft, till his master's house had seemed to him no bigger than a haycock. As his limbs remained benumbed, he was taken to Crediton on the following Saturday to be bled. After the operation he was left by himself, but when his fellows came in, they found his forehead cut and swollen and bleeding. According to him, a bird with a stone in its beak had flown in at the window and dashed it at his brow. The room was searched. No stone, but a brass weight was found lying on the floor.
Your source for everything paranormal. Para-X.
Rat! Rat! Where are you going?
I'm going back to the Paranormal View, back where I belong.
Please, take me with you.
No, I'm through with everything here. I want to see if there's something left in life I haven't explored. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Rat, don't run to them. They talk about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs, and all kind of supernatural scary stuff.
You'll never understand, will you, Scarlet?
No!
Well, that's your misfortune.
Rat, if you go, where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear... Line!
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
That's the Paranormal View with your host, Henry Foister, Jeffrey Gould, Kat Cloco, and Barbara Duncan. Every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Para-X Radio Network.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head, the sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh and the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, The foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of a novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn.
The Demon of Spreyton.
Yeah.
That was great.
David is he is such a gem.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. That was incredible.
And I just sent him a whole slew of new ghost stories.
Did you?
He's going to be busy. And he's doing a bunch of new folk music for us.
Nice.
So it's going to be...
Nice.
Yeah, we've got David Walton.
A lot of good stuff coming up.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And he's such a good sport.
Yeah.
You know, Bill is too. Dave and Bill, the good sports at...
Dave and Bill.
Yeah. So we survived the evil bunny.
Yeah, our limbs grew back.
Our limbs grew back. Or we might be doppelgangers.
Yeah, Phil and Fox might actually be gone, and we're the replacements.
Yes, we're the better Phil and Fox. like the movie you're working on, Doppelgangers.
Yeah, Doppelganger.
Well, was it Doppelganger?
Doppelganger.
Right.
Yeah.
So when's that going to be out?
It's probably going to be out within the next week or two.
Okay.
It'll be posted on our YouTube channel
and on the website.
YouTube channel Film Zero Presents.
Right.
And I'm just working on the finishing touches. Got to put the music in.
Right.
Got to do the color correction, and that's pretty much it. It's very short.
Yeah.
Shortest thing we've done to date. It's a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. Without credits.
And it'll be amazing. That'll be the one that makes it through.
yeah, exactly.
It's just.
I agree. Yeah, it's short. It's very short and sweet. I mean, you literally blink and it's over.
Right.
It's really short, but it's cool. It's creepy. I did not write it. I like the material. Mm-hmm. So, it was written by a friend of Matt's who came to him and said, "Hey, I want you guys to shoot this, and I want to be in it." Mm-hmm. So that's what we did.
Your next one's got to be about demon dolls.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Can you believe this? They're actually online auctions. They're actually on eBay. They're selling haunted or cursed dolls or items. And they've jacked up the price when they say they're haunted.
Yeah.
They're like these normal antique dolls, and people want to buy them because they've been cursed. And I actually saw some of the eBay titles saying Ghost Meter Verified.
Wow.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
I could... I'm going to put up tomorrow...
How do you prove that something's haunted? That's
right. I'm going to take a bottle of Jack, put the cork in it, and sell it as the ghost of Abraham Lincoln in a bottle.
Right.
And I'll jack up the price and say Ghost Meter Verified. I've had 10 psychics come in and hold their hands over this Jack bottle and go, the ghost of Lincoln is in here.
Right.
and put it on eBay. And let's see if it sells.
You know what? Someone will buy it.
Someone will buy it. We should try this. What are you afraid of? We're selling ghosts of dead presidents in bottles.
That's right.
Liquor bottles.
Yeah.
Which we need to make more of. We're doing this. We need to create a demand.
Annabelle was the doll that they, The Conjuring?
Yes.
And they made a movie of her, about her. Have you seen the film?
I have not. What's
Annabelle?
The movie called?
Annabelle.
Okay. I remember. All right.
It's a spin-off of the doll that was in The Conjuring.
Of Ed and Lorraine Warren's.
Ed and Lorraine's Warren doll that they keep in their basement.
Right, I remember that. With that big do not open under any circumstances, I think they say. Right.
Note, right. Now, have you ever seen the real one?
I saw a picture of it online.
Okay, it's a Raggedy Ann doll.
Right, it's a Raggedy Ann doll. It doesn't look like the actual doll because Raggedy Ann's not that creepy.
And apparently, no, it's not. But apparently, it's looks are deceiving, and it's supposedly very demonic and possessed. And would you want to keep something like that in your basement, though? I mean, I know they keep it down there to keep it out of public circulation, but I don't know if I would personally want to keep something like that in my basement.
If you have something with negative energy, you bury it into the earth as a pagan would, or under a tree. It grounds. The energy dissipates.
Yeah,
put a little salt down.
everything in their basement has negative energy. Like
right.
all those artifacts.
We leave negative energy on things. Like when I'm really sick for a couple of days, I get very violently ill sometimes, or Allison and I are having a rough time, or it's sad times. When it's over and things are back to normal, I cleanse. Right. I throw down salt. Mm-hmm. I open the windows. I burn a smudge thicker sage. I change all the sheets, and it feels better. Yeah. Places remember.
Hey, it's good advice.
You know, but this doll thing is insane. I mean, one doll, apparently, a nasty, perverse, possessed doll, sold for $1,500.
Wow.
And the original eBay ad claimed that the doll gave off nasty vibes and was sexually abusive to the other dolls in the owner's collection.
I know. I remember reading that, and I just burst out laughing when the first time I read that.
What did they walk in on?
It was sexually abusive to the other dolls.
What did they walk in? I mean, it's not a funny thing, but it's two dolls, and
oh my god!
But it's sold for $1,500. I don't know who bought this thing for $1,500. I really wouldn't want to meet
the
them.
The doll is probably worth like $15. You know? I mean, without the story
this is the biggest. If I could pull this off, we need to do like dolls like this, like Chucky or something like that.
Speaking of like haunted objects and dolls and things, Joe Hill's book, it reminded me a lot of that.
Which book was that?
It was Heart-Shaped Box.
It's a good time to segue into congratulations to Max Booth again at Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing for their new podcast.
That's incredible.
Which you can find. You'll find links on the website and stuff. Check that out.
Castle Rock. It's Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King. It's all. It's they're kissing Stephen King's butt.
That's right. Well, you know who doesn't?
If you're a horror author and you're gonna kiss a butt, you pick the best one.
You pick the best one. Yeah. Right. But Joe Hill is Stephen King's son.
Stephen King's son. Yeah.
And he wrote that book, Heart-Shaped Box, and it's about a rock star who he's like a bored rock star, and his assistant purchases a suit on eBay. It's haunted. It's a haunted suit.
Right.
And he buys it for him, and it was a man that supposedly died in it. And then the man, when he gets the suit into his house, starts seeing this person, and all these crazy things start happening. And it just reminded me, when we were talking about this stuff, of that story. So, if you like a good ghost story, check that book out.
I will check that out. Yeah. So I was reading about Robert the Haunted Doll. He's another famous haunted doll. Apparently, it was given to Robert Eugene Otto in 1906 by an unhappy servant who supposedly worshipped the devil or practiced black magic, and it started moving on its own accord, and they've seen the doll moving from window to window like the neighbors have, emitting a terrifying giggle, and it would attack the kid, Eugene. It just, so here's another great ghost story. And when Eugene died, the doll was left in the attic until the house was bought again, and the new family included a 10-year-old girl who found the doll, became the new owner, and it wasn't long before this girl started screaming too. Because Robert, he started moving, he attacked her on multiple occasions. I heard about this haunted clown doll that tried to strangle its owner.
Oh god.
Little clown news there.
Jeez, yeah, a little mixture there.
I mean, do you want a haunted object?
Would I want one?
Yeah.
I would want one if it wasn't a demonic possession.
Right. Like the
if
stuff.
It was just a haunted one with no major negative side effects, then I have no problem with it.
You keep it around, sort of, like mood lighting or a lava lamp.
Yeah,
but
I think it'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
but a possessed object.
I wouldn't want something that's evil or demonic or has ill intentions.
Right. Anything that came out of the Warrens' basement, no.
Right? Yeah. No.
Never go to a yard sale at the Warrens' house.
No.
It's just you bring a priest with you.
And never do that.
That's everything.
Bring the Pope with you.
Bring the Pope. Well, coming up on the show, we've got a song from my friend Michael Garrett, who wrote our theme song and our closing theme song. We met when he worked on the Joe Sestak campaign, Admiral Joe Sestak in Pennsylvania, who obviously didn't win. He's got a performance coming up there first on Wednesday, April 19th, 2017. Be careful, everyone, because you might be listening to this and it's the wrong year.
Right.
At a place called The Brewery in State College, PA. The show starts at 10:30. They'll be on at 11:30. And there are two opening acts. A folk punk act called Kibo Can't Dance, and a party rock band called American Evil.
That's a pretty interesting combination of folk punk.
But the band's called Modern Architecture. You'll find a link on our website and our Facebook page to them, and Michael's a good friend, and he's given us a song that we're going to, talk. He's going to talk a little bit about the song, and we're going to premiere it on the podcast, on What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show, on ParaX Radio on Friday nights at 9 p.m. at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com. Isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
Isn't that nice of Michael? Thank you, Michael.
Nice. That was very nice.
Michael and I have been good friends, and he's a talented author who's coming up through the ranks, starting in fiction, and I'm glad we have him on board. It's great to have a talented composer.
That's wonderful, yeah.
After that, we're catching up with Katie Montana Jordan.
That's right. She's
doing a conference, and she wants to tell us a little about it. So we'll have a little time with Katie.
Cool. Yeah, originally from Montana.
Yep, the Whitefish.
Yeah.
As we call her. Katie's one of the hosts here. We wish we could have her on more, and she's our paranormal and occult scholar.
Yes, she is, yeah.
And a lot of fun to talk to.
She is, yeah.
Yeah,
she's very entertaining to talk to.
Yes, she's great on the show.
Right.
And I mean, Krampus and her are our thing now. So don't ask me about that.
They're pretty hot and heavy.
They're hot and heavy.
Yeah, in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah, so it's a big thing.
Yeah. We don't like to talk about it though. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So this is Protest Arson, a song from Modern Architecture, and then Katie Montana Jordan.
Your source for everything paranormal, Para-X.
The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out. They crawl all over your dirty snout, your chest. My name is David Walton. I am a vocal performer for What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal show. And I have carried the burden of a terrible secret. I am actually what is offensively called a ghost. For years now, I have concealed my ectoplasmic existence from my friends and family, in fear of a common prejudice against ghosts, or what we like to call the disembodied. I have existed frightened of being discovered, unable to do physical acts that the embodied take for granted, such as walking a squirrel, or drinking a glass of vitamin E milk fresh squeezed from a whale. I grew depressed and even considered acts of self-harm or reincarnation, which is suicide for the disembodied. Such movies as Ghostbusters and its sequels drove my feelings of disenfranchisement, and I began looking for help, only to encounter painful exorcisms in the houses I haunted. Then I met two good people, it says here, Fox and Phil, at What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal. And they helped me take control of my own life. Now, it is my choice whether I wish to make phantom bangs in the night, appear at the foot of your bed in darkness, or make your walls bleed. If you are a disembodied person like I am, and you're living a lie, What Are You Afraid Of? Can help you too. They are on at 9 p.m. on Friday nights at Para-X Radio, leaving plenty of time for midnight haunting activities, and can be found on all major podcast services. Listen to their paranormal stories, interviews, humorous sketches and horror fiction to know that you are not alone. And if you are a member of the embodied, don't forget, you are only a single heart attack or tumour away from becoming one of us. This is David Walton. See you on the other side. Or as I call it, this side. And that is the end of a perfect day.
Your source for everything paranormal, Para-X.
We've all experienced messages from beyond the silver veil, whether we want to admit it or not. Some people take no notice, ignoring these outreaches. Others embrace them, seeing them as evidence of an expanded universe. Whether these stories frighten or comfort, we are reassured.
The mission of What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal show is to explore the dark side through paranormal investigation, folklore, and the arts. The show is an audio magazine. We share true ghost stories, dark fiction, interviews with ghost hunters and indie authors, filmmakers, artists, and musicians. We discuss industry issues and offer support We have a unique and varied theme that creates a show unlike others.
Our weekly show is featured on all major podcast services, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, and YouTube. We are a part of ParaX Radio.
We need your true ghost experiences, so write them down in an email, preferably under 2,000 words, which comes to about 3 or 4 typed pages, and send them to whatareyouafraidof117@gmail.com. Please don't attach them as a file. And don't worry about trying to write like Charles Dickens. Just tell us your story as if you were telling a friend. And if you're not sure if it's actually a ghost story or not, but it's still weird, send it anyway. Also send us your photos, EVPs, recipes, your thoughts, and any artwork.
Check out our website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com for our ghost story archives, articles, photos, and expanded material. And you can buy t-shirts, mugs, laptop covers, and animals apparently with our logo on it. Follow us at Twitter at PFWhatAfraidOf. That's PFWhatAfraidOf.
You cannot escape the darkness, so explore it with us now at
What Are You Afraid Of?
Hi, this is Michael from Modern Architecture, a band from State College, PA. Regular listeners of this show might also be familiar with my work, as I'm actually the composer for the theme music for What Are You Afraid Of? First, a big thanks to What Are You Afraid Of for having me on to talk a little bit about the band and our song, Protest Arson. So, Modern Architecture is a post-rock band, which is, frankly, a really silly name for a genre, and it makes me feel ridiculous every time I say it. Someone recently described us as experimental mad scientist rock, which I think sounds way more fun and accurate. I started this project with my good friend Nick after our last band, a loud garage punk sort of thing, broke up. We wanted to take post-rock, which has a reputation for taking itself very seriously, and mixing it with some of the urgency and some of the irrelevancy of punk music. As our songs are often instrumental and without lyrics, it's kind of hard to say that they're necessarily about anything, but I started realizing that if we wanted to bring some of that punk rock feeling into our music, an important part of punk is its storied history of political consciousness and resistance to authority, which is perhaps more important now than ever before in my lifetime, given the current state of American politics. So, the song that you're about to hear, Protest Arson, is a play on the idea of protest art. While writing it, I kept thinking about how art, especially politically conscious or protest art, should be fiery, explosive in nature. It should make a statement, like a Molotov cocktail. Not to endorse arson, of course, but to inspire action, engagement. And while it can be hard to make these kinds of points in music without lyrics, we try to carry that sense of resistance and social consciousness to our actions as a band. All of our music is available at modernarchitecture.bandcamp.com for whatever people want to pay, including nothing, but all proceeds from music downloads benefit nonprofits. Downloads of Protest Arson benefit the American Civil Liberties Union, an important institution doing good work against the rise of American fascism. So thanks again to What Are You Afraid Of? And I hope you enjoy the music. If you do, you can find us on Facebook or on Twitter at Modern Arc Music if you like what you hear. We're also headlining a show at the Brewery, located at 233 East Beaver Avenue in State College, Pennsylvania, with acoustic punk Kevo Can't Dance and rock and roll dudes American Evil on April 19th. Show starts at 10:30, $3 at the door. Godspeed and resist.
your source for everything paranormal. Para X.
She's not Katie, Nevada, Jordan. She's not Katie, Philadelphia, Jordan. She's never had a cheesesteak. But she is Katie, Montana, Jordan, one of our co-hosts and occult scholars, back on What Are You Afraid Of? Horror and Paranormal Show. How are you, Katie?
Hi, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. How are you today, Fox?
Oh, fantastic, and very happy to be speaking to you. And you've got a big weekend.
I do. Oh my goodness. I know. Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I was just excited to come on and chat with you and fill you in on what I've got going on lately. I have actually this weekend we have one of the most coveted and the largest paranormal conferences in the Pacific Northwest. So it starts this Friday and it runs through Saturday and through the end of Sunday, so March 31st to April 2nd. It is our 6th annual Oregon Ghost Conference in Seaside, Oregon, because I'm here in Portland, Oregon. So Seaside is this beautiful little coastal town. I think it's about 2 hours away from Portland. So for people that are listening, to get more information on the Oregon Ghost Conference, the link is www.oregonghostconference.com. And I had the pleasure of lecturing and teaching a class last year, and I am doing the same thing this year. I'm holding a lecture on Saturday, April 1st from 3 to 4 p.m., and I'm also teaching a class on Sunday from 9 to 11 a.m. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my lecture first. I'm really excited about my lecture. As far as I understand, this lecture is going to be the first ever lecture in the history of the 6 years of the conference that somebody is going to be discussing demonology. And I was really excited to discuss demonology because there are so many misconceptions and inaccuracies behind demonology, especially within paranormal research. So my lecture is entitled Theoretical Demonology and Paranormal Research, and I'm going to be discussing the history of demonology. I'm going to be looking at it biblically and then looking at what demonology looks like from a global cultural perspective, what other cultures define demonology to be, and what that might look like for other faiths and other religions, and compare that to Christianity. And then I'm going to be discussing the different theories behind what demonology might be, and then discussing the misconceptions and inaccuracies of demonology that we see in our everyday media and as well as our mainstream culture. And then I'm going to conclude that, because I'm also a paranormal researcher, I'm going to conclude the lecture discussing the ethical obligations that we have as paranormal researchers to define something as demonic or not while we're working in the field. So again, my lecture is going to be Saturday, April 1st from 3 to 4 p.m. It's called Theoretical Demonology and Paranormal Research at the Oregon Ghost Conference in Seaside, Oregon.
There's been a lot of talk with our guests about what defines a classic haunting and what defines what they would call a demonic or an inhuman infestation. How would you define the two?
That's an excellent question. I don't really know how I would define those two. That would be difficult, I think, for anybody to answer, because every situation is circumstantial. Every case that we get called on and every different client that we work with, they all come from a different background, so they're going to be looking at things through a different lens. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss demonology publicly at my lecture coming up here in a few days, is because I'm seeing that it is more deterrent for people, for us as paranormal researchers, as well as our clientele and any future potential clientele. It's so deterrent to constantly look at possible paranormal or possible parapsychological encounters through a religious specified lens. So I'm very excited to talk about that and to define what that means, and hopefully allow people to have some of their inaccuracies be dispelled behind that, and not always automatically assuming that because a spirit may seem aggressive or bad or evil that necessarily means it's demonic. I think that that's more deterrent for us than beneficial. So I'm really excited to sit down and talk about the mythology behind that.
So what would you say are some of the most famous, I'm going to call them demonic just for the nature of this interview. What would you say are the most famous demonic cases in the last 100 years, shall we say?
I'm not sure I would honestly list any of them as demonic. I know a lot of people out there, and of course the media, and again, our mainstream culture would want to point fingers and say that, these certain aggressive cases point to something being demonic. But the more I work in this field and the more research I do, I'm leaning more towards things not being demonic. And it doesn't mean that I don't believe that there may be some forces of evil, that there's some sort of a higher spiritual entity out there or within us, but I don't view that from a religious specified point of view. And that's where I think the danger is. So, like, one of the first things that came to my mind is the Amityville Horror.
Yes, probably the most iconic.
Yeah, and of course we know now that they came out and said that it was a hoax, and then of course other people came out and said no, calling it a hoax is a hoax. So of course, there's no way we're ever going to know for sure. But in all the years that I've been working in this field, I will say that I have never once come across a demon while working on an investigative case, and I have never once come across an individual or a family that claims to be taunted by a demon entity that's, encouraging them to chop up their family members. I think that's pretty far-fetched.
So, have you encountered anything malevolent or evil in the course of your paranormal study?
I have, although I think that my terminology is different than a lot of other people's. And you know this as well, you're a writer too. I was going to say, as a writer, I'm careful about certain terminology that I use, especially when I'm working, especially if I'm representing one of my paranormal organizations, or if I was invited inside somebody's home and we're conducting an actual formal investigation. It's not okay to throw around the word evil or demon, and that's what I'm going to talk about in my lecture when I said that as paranormal researchers that we have ethical obligations. We can't just go into somebody's home and say, oh, yep, this is the demon. Okay, we're going to pack up and leave now, because those people, this is their home. This is their living space. They have to continue to live there. So it's not necessarily about saying that something is demonic or not demonic, because even that term means something different to everybody. It depends on if you were brought up within a religious household or not, and if you had any personal, possibly negative experiences or not. So everything is self-interpretive.
Fantastic. It is indeed. And I often look at the various countries around the world, and I see some countries with a heavy amount of what you would call demonic or inhuman infestations, and there are some countries that don't report them at all, or some faiths that don't have them at all.
Definitely. It's so fascinating. And that leads me into also telling you a tiny bit about my contribution to the Oregon Ghost Conference on Sunday. I'm so excited to be teaching my class again. It's called Misconceptions and Applications of the Ouija Board. So I'm a huge advocate for exploring the Ouija board or the talking board or the witch board, whatever you want to call it. And I've taught this class several times before, and every time I do it, I learn something new. And it's so exciting. I always have the best patrons that come in, and they're super excited about doing hands-on work. So it's actually a 2-hour class. The first hour is going to be lecture. And again, the same with demonology. We're just going to be discussing the history of the Ouija board, where it comes from, and what it means to different people. And we'll look at some different historical cases where a Ouija board was applied. And then I'm going to be giving a live demonstration, because half the people in my class have had an experience with the Ouija board. And of course, they all say that it's more or less negative than not. The other half of my class typically are people that are scared of the Ouija board and they don't want to go near it. They don't want to touch it, but they're still so interested in it that there's still some sort of emotionality behind it that they feel compelled to come to the class. So it's really fun for me to see those people at the end of my 2-hour session, the people that said that they were afraid of the Ouija board, that they're actually sitting down with their Ouija board and they're doing hands-on application. So the second half of the class is just that. It's going to be an intensive hands-on application, and we're going to be working the boards and seeing what we come up with. And as an advocate for using a Ouija board, I think that it's important to note that it can be used for particularly two different things. Number one, yes, it can be used as a paranormal communicative tool where you allow it to be a communication plank, a communication device to talk to any outside stimuli. However, I don't feel that it just ends right there. I think that you can also use it as a parapsychological communicative tool, and you can have a conversation with yourself. So I'm going to be talking about exploring board work from both of those avenues. So again, that's going to be this weekend on Sunday at the Oregon Ghost Conference in Seaside, Oregon, and that's going to be from 9 to 11 a.m. And I'm pretty sure I have a couple more spots left, so if people want to look up the link and register, I would definitely grab your spot now. And the link again is www.oregonghostconference.com.
Well, that's fantastic, Katie. And I hope you have a very good weekend. And we look forward to hearing your report on how the conference went. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. And so I would love to come back on sometime in the very near future, and I'll let you guys know how it went.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie Montana Jordan.
Thank you so much, Fox. I'll talk to you soon.
Special thanks to Michael Garrett from the band Modern Architecture.
Mm-hmm, right.
Remember, they'll be playing on Wednesday, April 19th, 2017, in State College, PA at the brewery. Definitely check them out. Good guys, little eccentric, unique in their style.
Mm.
You know, you're not going to find something. You're not going to go there and go, God, they sound just like somebody else.
Right. They're a little unique style,
and they're very political.
Yeah.
You know, they're out to protest their message using music.
Right. Hey, it's an outlet, right?
Right, it is.
Yeah, it's a platform and an outlet.
Yeah. And then we had Katie come on
and
talk
Katie.
to us. Well, thank you, Katie. Good luck at your convention, and we'll have you back very soon. We're looking forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, it'd be cool to do another episode with her.
Well, I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah,
soon enough. She's part of the heart here.
That's right.
Yeah. So you were just in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. A lot of people were down there.
Yeah, for the MonsterCon horror convention.
Right. You met some cool people.
I did. I met Dean Cundy.
Nice.
You know, DP for Halloween in Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Back to the Future trilogy. Hey,
yeah. He did a few West Wing, which I
was
really thrilled about.
Yeah, and the kids from Stranger Things were there.
Right.
We actually had run-in with one of them. We were sitting in the restaurant in the motel, and the friend I was with, he was sitting there. He dropped his utensils on the floor just as the kid was walking and picked them up and handed it to him. And we looked up, and there he was. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but it's the kid with the hat, the bushy hair and the hat. Yeah.
I'll find his name and put it on the website.
Yeah, put it on the website. Yeah, sorry, guys, I don't know his name, but I can see his face. And it was pretty cool. He was there. Yeah, there was a couple cast members from Stranger Things there. It was a pretty interesting time. We met I met a lot of people there, you know, authors and filmmakers, and it's a really great place. And we're like you were just saying, we're hopefully, you know, we're going to try and get a table.
We're talking about teaming up with PMMP and Film Zero
this August,
and go out there this August and stuff. I think that's going to be our major push for August.
That would be a huge event for us because it's 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've done this before. I mean, you get a motel, you know, and you just stay there for 3 days, you know, or if you know. Sometimes, you know, you don't go Friday night, you just go Saturday.
Yeah, you go 2 of the days, right.
Stay over Saturday night or whatever. Because Friday is kind of just starting it, and Sundays everything's kind of just like winding down. But Saturday's the biggest.
But it sounds like fun. We'll get out there, and we'll be doing events throughout the summer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going to be doing stuff, and we're going to hopefully do some Gettysburg.
Yeah, we got Gettysburg. We have some trips planned. Maybe Jim Thorpe.
I want to do a ghost tour.
Oh, we'll do a ghost tour. We might be giving them this summer.
Yeah. What's that?
We might be giving them this summer. I mean, the way things are going.
Yeah.
But you can find out more information about the events we'll be doing at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com. And you know what else you can find there? Links to our t-shirts, our mugs, our phone cases. We've got some different designs, more going up all the time, and TeePublic is having sales. Yeah. So go check it out and check out our website and follow our Twitter to see when this stuff is on sale. And you can get a What Are You Afraid Of t-shirt. People are actually buying them.
Yeah, they are.
They're actually buying them, and this is a great surprise to me.
And they have some really great, you know. And if we go to the convention,
we'll have some t-shirts up.
We'll have that stuff for sale.
Yeah, we will, and some stuff from PMMP, and it'll be cool.
we'll be selling some interesting things there. Yeah.
It's been a pretty cool episode.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 41, Demon Dolls.
Demon Dolls.
Some good content. We got some great stuff coming up in the next few episodes. I know Debbie Chestnut's coming back.
Oh, great.
Talk about some paranormal stuff. We'll have some ghost stories and some more horror fiction and ghost stories from John Foster. And it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, I guess we'll see you next episode.
This was a great episode.
It was a lot of fun.
Very entertaining, yes. Everyone out there, hope you have a good day, good week.
Mm-hmm. And you can put a bid on our Abraham Lincoln in a bottle. Coming up. It's
we should really do that.
Let's do it. Let's see who's going to...
As an experiment.
Let's see if somebody
actually does
votes on it, or what do you call it? Bids on it.
Someone bids on it, yeah.
The ghost will see what happens. Okay, we have to do this now.
We can maybe try...
Put it up and see if anyone responds to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if they listen to this show, they'll know. We'll keep you updated.
Yeah. Fun experiment.
Right. This is T. Fox Dunham.
This is Phil Thomas.
T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Arson. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Book. A major motion picture based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was recently released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox is a story in the Stargate anthology, Points of Origin, from MGM and Fandemonium Books. Mercy was recently released by Bloodbound Books. Fox is an active member of the Harvard Association. He's been published in hundreds of short stories and articles, and his motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time.
Phil Thomas resides in the suburbs of Philadelphia and is an author and filmmaker. His screenplays have been produced into feature films such as False Face and Always from Darkness that are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon On Demand.
Katie Montana Jordan is a freelance writer, occult specialist, paranormal researcher, and independent consultant. She is writing consultant and field researcher to paranormal research and investigations, and is independent consultant to Scottish Ghost Adventures. Both an ordained minister and pagan priestess, Katie is currently obtaining her PhD in holistic theology. A Whitefish, Montana native, Katie now resides in Portland, Oregon.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.